Who wants to start?
All right, I might as well go first. All right, so my number 3 is Protest the Hero Pacific Myth. This is the EP they released this year following their subscription program from earlier in 2016, where you signed up for a subscription, and every month for 6 months they released a track. And it was a pretty cool idea, but then finally in November they decided to release the thing properly on a disc and everything. And I've actually really grown to love this band as the years have gone by. I really like their last record with Chris Adler on drums from Lamb of God. They just do a really good job of blending a lot of different progressive styles in their music, because they have a lot of really quick tempo stuff. They have a little bit of noodling stuff in there. They have a lot of time changes. The vocals are always clear. There's no harsh vocals in it. It's just a lot of really good fun tracks to listen to. The only thing that sucks about it is that it is only an EP. It's very short. It's quick. It's over before you know it, and it just leaves you wanting even more. So,
Pete?
So, I won't bullshit you guys. Like, I know that in November I didn't really have much of a chance to listen to anything really. So I only have two. Albums to really talk about, and one of them is going to be a live album.
You're cheating so hard right now.
But I think it's worth it, though.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with that one. The album in question is Primordial's Gods to the Godless, which is a recording of their live performance at Germany's Bangerhead Festival. I think it was in 2016. It may have been 2015 when it took place. But either way, so this is actually their second live album. The first one being called All Empires Fall, and that one was released a few years ago. If you're not familiar with Primordial, they are kind of a legendary extreme metal act out of Dublin. And they do a lot of like a mix of like pagan folk, black metal, that just is really, really intense. And I'll say this, so the way this album was recorded is phenomenal. There's no overdubbing whatsoever. And the best part about it to me, the thing that really stands out, are the drums. They sound incredibly thunderous.
wow,
Which is perfect timing for that.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, they do, and that really is such a core part of. I've never seen Primordial live in person, but I have watched a lot of their concerts on YouTube and things like that, and that's such an important aspect of their live shows, to deliver that kind of experience of watching them, and that's ultimately this recording, I think, captures the energy that Primordial has in their live shows, especially like in the interactions with the frontman. His name is Alan Averill. His crowd interactions are excellent, and really this is just you get that kind of raw, gritty, visceral energy that they are known for. And for me, this is a fantastic way to experience this band. So
I've heard of Primordial. I've seen the name around for years. I just never had a chance to listen to it. So now I'm kind of forced to.
Like, I honestly would say that if I wanted to introduce someone to Primordial, I might very well pick this album to do it, because it actually, most of the songs on the set list come from the last 3 albums they did, which are incredibly good albums. And yeah, you really get a great sense of what this band is about just in this live album. So that's why, to me, it deserves a place to be talked about here.
Nice.
Okay. So I didn't get much prepared for my top 3, but I do have a top 3 list. And we're going to start off with Dark Sarah, The Puzzle, as my number 3. Dark Sarah is actually the project that former Emberian Dawn singer Heidi Parvianen, I believe that's how her name's pronounced. I probably butchered it. But
At least I'm not the only one.
Parvianen. Well, actually, I'm not going to read the next name that comes up. But she started the project after Emberian Dawn, and it's symphonic power metal. Now, prior to actually knowing that, I had listened to the song and the video for Dance with the Dragon, which features JP from Northern Kings and Charon. And I got a really cool theatrical, kind of like a Broadway vibe, like a Repo Genetic opera vibe, like it's kind of creepy, but elaborate and kind of bombastic to it. So very cool. And then I listened to the rest of it, and it is kind of straightforward symphonic power metal, which, you know, when you do it right, you do it right. And this album does it extremely well. And unfortunately, there's not much more I can really say about it. I mean, it's good for what it is, but it also doesn't set itself apart too much, except for, like, you know, one or two parts like Dance with the Dragon, where it's a little bit different. But I did enjoy it, so I'm not much more I can say about that one.
All right, so number 2 for me this month comes really as no surprise. Animals as Leaders, The Madness of Many. It's their 4th full length from the instrumental prog metal band. And while they are very prominent in the gent scene right now, these guys definitely use more musical chops than some of their contemporaries. These guys are always melding metal with jazz and a couple other influences. From the opening notes, there's a sitar sounding note, and then all of a sudden it goes into this really syncopated, very math metal type of riff. It is just pure. It's just a flurry of guitar virtuosity, which is worth a listen or 10, because these guys really are excruciatingly talented. Their sound is incredibly thick, and it's just anybody who's a fan of guitar work as a whole should listen to these guys, because they have just about everything you could possibly want from a good guitarist involved. There's, like I said, there's the noodling, there's the riffage, and just everything in between. So I highly recommend people checking out Animals as Leaders as a whole.
Just like the way you said that, like if you're a fan of guitar, if you like to breathe, you would enjoy it.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, one of our guests on the show was Gary Garcia. He specifically goes out of his way to search out good guitar players. He's mentioned this before, and everything that he posts to his social media, Facebook account specifically, is mostly just about really good guitarists.
It's actually kind of funny because when I was doing the filming with the rehearsal for Seance, now when I actually have a hand in what I'm putting the camera toward, something he told me goes through his mind, which is, if they're playing a solo, your camera better be on that solo. Otherwise, why are you there? Like, he didn't say it exactly like that, but that was like, you know, his mindset was basically, you know, guitar player, they're doing the solo, it's their time, focus on that for a little while. Yeah. So that's what I was doing. Yeah, I couldn't hear any of it, of course.
Well, and that's what this entire album does. So there it is. I mean, these guys have been up and coming for a long time. And like I said, this is their 4th record. They get better and better every single time, and they are getting a lot of notoriety for, like I said, their musical chops, not just their sound, which is the genty side of things, but very technical guitar playing.
Do you want to do your one now, or do you want to wait until we do our twos?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it now. Okay. That's fine. I'm cool with that. So this is my second, and I guess technically this is my top, but really this is just the other one that I thought was really, really great that happened to come out in November. And it is by Swedish black and thrash metalers Witchery. The name of the album is In His Infernal Majesty's Service. So these guys have actually been around in the thrash scene since about 97, I think, and I've always heard of the band, and I'm pretty sure I've heard their tracks in passing from time to time. But I don't know that anything has ever really captured my attention in listening to them. And that, you know, I always read other people's reviews as I'm putting together mine, and it seems like that's been kind of the consensus that, you know, this band in particular, despite having been around for so long, has always been overshadowed by a lot of other bigger thrash acts. And really, in large part of it, it apparently had to do with the sound. Their sound not always meshing very well with all of the elements. In other words, it seems like, for example, the vocals wouldn't really match the energy of the rest of the musicians, right? And this band has apparently gone through some lineup changes, and most recently including a vocalist change, and now we have this album. I think the last album they put out was like 6 years ago, and in that time I think have worked to create this. And I have to say, from the moment I started listening to this album, it was really clear that this band was playing with some serious fury. The opening track, it's called Leviathan, which, okay, ridiculous pun notwithstanding, that track is a firestorm. I mean, it is from the first note, just unstoppable energy, and it just grabs you and just never lets go. The thing is, like, every single track on this album has some supremely heavy riffage, stuff that really thrash metal bands don't really do quite often, if I'm being honest. At least I feel like. And yeah, like it's just every single track is like that. It's very consistent in quality, very consistent in sound, and it's enough that it made me want to go back and look at their discography. Like, what have I been missing from this band, or is potentially this their first great achievement? Because on its own, I mean, it's very much a masterwork. This is some great thrash metal. Definitely worth checking out if you are at all a fan of that genre.
Well then, no
Okay.
homework to do.
Speaking of being fans of a genre and having somebody stick it to it because they're good at it, Hammerfall, Built to Last, is my number 2.
Ooh yeah.
So I've been a passive fan of Hammerfall since the release of Crimson Thunder. I'm pretty sure the first time I heard anything from them was Hearts on Fire through like a Nuclear Blast compilation.
It wasn't the cover of Hearts on Fire from the Rocky Four soundtrack,
wish it
was
was.
Because I would listen to that to the end of days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they could pull it off, guys. Make it happen.
Make that fucking happen for the show coming up in a couple months, okay?
Yeah, seriously. But with my limited exposure to the band, as far as that goes, I always heard, they're power metal. So I walked in thinking power metal. So the first 2 tracks kind of threw me off, because the first track on this album, Bring It, sounds like their reimagining of Stand Up and Shout by Dio. Like that kind of quicker pace, but not really power metal, in your face speed, intense melodies. It sounded like a Dio track, which led into the next one, which is Hammer High, which kind of sounded like a slower version of a song by like Tyr, who are in kind of power metalish in their own way. But again, I was like, where's the crazy double bass and the big flourishes and super choruses? Yeah, everything after that was that. So I was okay. I was like, I'm not wrong here, am I? And the rest of the album follows suit with power metal. And like I said for Dark Sarah, when you do something right, you do it right. Hammerfall is pretty much just straight on. They don't change very much. They still kick ass. From what me knowing what they came previously to now, it sounds good. I've just picked up a few of the previous albums, so now I can kind of catch up on things. But I thoroughly enjoyed this album for being a great power metal album. So, and not much more I can say about it, unfortunately.
All right, so my number 1 for the month of November is, I pretty much posted this like at the end of October, going into November, knowing that this is probably going to be definitely in the top 3, and that is the Arkona record. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. There's way too many consonants in it. But these guys are a Slavic pagan folk metal band from Russia. I think this album, I forget whether it was a re-recording or a reissue of their very first full-length album. Either way, it sounds fucking incredible. But these guys are very much in the same vein and style as Elvedi, who we've talked about a lot between the podcast and the radio show. But the thing is, I find these guys to be a little bit toned down as far as the folk part of it. Their windpipe section is not nearly as in your face as Elvedi is. There's fewer members of the band, so I don't think they have a hurdy-gurdy person either. They're influenced by folk, but it's not like the main focus here. It's not like a folk band with a metal aspect. It's a metal band with some folk in it, some Russian folk in it. There's okay.
Just looking at that South Park episode, the incredibly obese black man or the incredibly black obese man.
Wow. Yes. But these guys are really good. Of course, all the lyrics are in Russian, so I don't understand a word they're saying. But the thing is, just like with a majority of those bands, half the time it doesn't really matter to me because it just kind of adds to the mystique of the band. And I'm sure they're doing Slavic pagan folk metal. I'm sure this probably has to do with the mythology of their particular country. So whatever, it's all good. And they sound incredible. I would love to actually see these guys live. I think they'd probably be a really good live act. So, Yeah, Arkona, number 1.
My number 1 is a band named Sister, and it's not the band that was formed by Nikki Sixx and Blackie Lawless in the 70s. That was a thing. I actually realized that while searching this. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's just a whole bunch of cock rock going on. 6'7" cock rock guys out there. That's crazy.
That's right. Whole lot of near-death experiences.
And cod pieces.
And codpieces.
And cod pieces.
But Sister's album, Stand Up, Forward, March. This is the third album from glam and sleaze metal influenced. Sister with Motley Crue, Wasp. Oh, yeah.
Twisted Sister.
Yeah, but they are a quartet hailing from Stockholm, Sweden. Now, they definitely have the look of the glam sleaze metal thing going on, because they do look like if you took Nikki Sixx and just kind of gave him a really, really bad day. No offense to the guys at all, because the album's fucking fantastic. But when I originally brought this album back up in November, I had said it's kind of like a cross between Children of Bodom and Lordi. It's the technicality and a lot of the heaviness of Children of Bodom with the bombast of Lordi, and the vocals kind of actually borrow from both.
Wow.
So yeah, like it starts off the first track on the album, Destination Dust. It starts off in a heavier direction, starting off like Children of Bodom-ish. But when you get to the third track, which is Lost in Line, which is among my favorites on the album, it kind of starts sounding like that anthemic brand of heavy metal that Alice Cooper started doing in the 80s. Like, take the song Poison by Alice Cooper and make it a lot heavier. That's what this sounds like.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it's extremely good. I actually listened to it again earlier today, and I actually forgot, because I haven't listened to it in a while, about a month at least, how good it is. But it's extremely good. And it does, again, it starts off and it kind of tricks you with its heaviness, and then it just gets really, really catchy.
Heavy and catchy is the best combination ever.
Yeah. But, like, to the point where it's almost just a complete change in that direction. Like, it's going in one direction and 90 degrees, bam. And then the vocals change with that whole progression of the album. And I love the vocal here. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy doing at least all the main stuff. I don't know if they have somebody doing backing vocals that does a different voice for it. But if it's like the lead guy doing both parts or both differing voices, this guy's good. It's versatile. Excellent. It's what I want to hear. So definitely worth a listen. And them being on Metal Blade is definitely a good up for them, because Metal Blade, it has been one of the good places for metal bands to kind of flourish. They've been Metal Blade's kind of hit or miss for me, which is why I was like walking into it, I was a little unsure. Again, that's just my own personal opinion. Metal Blade does grab onto a lot of great stuff. Falconer. So definitely they've got a good home there, and I want to check out their earlier stuff, because this album definitely, they said that like this is probably like their best, their most bombastic, so I want to hear how they started off. Maybe they had a little bit more of the heavier edge, that more Children of Bodom-esque sound. But yeah, definitely check it out. So
Hell yeah.
So those are our top 3 or 2 of November 2016. You're hearing it now on the podcast. There will be the video accompaniment as soon as I finish the October video, which I haven't been able to sit down and work on, because I've had to I spent my home time either with Lindsay or doing other work and whatnot, because I need money.
Here comes the money.
Here comes the money. No, it's not coming at all.
No.
It ain't coming anywhere near this face. And then for December, the top 3 of December, I'm actually doing that one solo.
Yeah, because December, I don't think I listened to anything new.
I got 3 things for December that
Wow.
I was pretty stoked about.
Good
Actually, I had a 4th one, but I didn't fully listen to it, so it's automatically out.
Good for you.
So I'm going to be doing that one solo, and then come February, we're going to be starting over in the new year, hopefully getting things out. Brave New World Bucks.
Brave New World Bucks.
That's right. So if you agree or disagree with us, we don't care. But let us know on the Facebook page.
If you are going to troll us, though, please use proper spelling and grammar.
Yeah, we don't want to have the Boulder break out his responses.
Oh dear God.
No, Boulder doesn't give his attention to trolls.
If we're playing some Castle Panic, he rolls over those fucking trolls.
Oh yes.
punk bitch ass rolls, and then takes out a castle wall. We lose the game. God damn it.